broke everything. What's up, everybody? It's Bear of Rome Bear back once again. How are you guys doing? And we're here once again with the Super Otaku Show. We had a week hiatus because of a whole bunch of family things. Nothing bad, just family things. How's everybody else doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
I had a brief moment where I thought like I jacked all the audio up and then like nobody could hear anybody, and I was like, "What have I broken?" But I didn't do that.
Apparently, during our week hiatus, Scott forgot how to introduce his co-hosts.
Dude, I did. Okay, so it's been one of those weeks where I've been so off my game in every aspect, but we'll get to that. In case you guys didn't know, this is the Super Otaku Show, where a bunch of us friends get together and we talk about anime and manga and all kinds of other random stuff, and I'm joined by Taylor Made Otaku. How you doing, Taylor?
Doing all right. Thanks for asking.
And Aaron, coming back from the Seattle Underground. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I still don't know what this Seattle Underground is.
Did you not go?
You don't know what the Seattle Underground is?
I don't know what the Seattle Underground is. I was in Seattle, and I have no idea what the Seattle Underground is. Is it just tunnel systems? Is this what we're talking about?
I'm glad that Taylor is at least getting the double joke here, and I appreciate it. Somebody had to.
I'm not getting the joke. I'm missing every joke thrown my way.
If I explain it, it's not funny.
I still have my vacation brain on, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, man. I guess I sort of had vacation brain too, dude. I did a stream, for my my birthday on Thursday, just messing around playing Monster Hunter Stories, and for the first 8 minutes of stream, I was muted because my audio just decided to go away. It was on, and I was good, and I was a little too loud, and then I started streaming and it went away, and I didn't know.
Honestly, that's a great way to commemorate how old you've become.
Yes.
Is you being muted for 8 minutes straight on stream.
I am ancient.
Happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Happy birthday.
I'm one step shy of being too old.
I mean, I'm 30, so how old could you possibly be?
I'm 29, so next year I join you.
He's right behind.
When you hit 30, everything on your body just starts to break.
Yeah, just immediately after. The day you turn 30, there's a dice roll behind the scenes and something breaks, right?
Yep. The day you turn 30, you're gonna wake up and your back's gonna hurt. It's insane.
And not for the normal
insane.
Not for the normal reasons or any potentially fun reasons. Nope. It's just gonna be you alone in bed and be like, but this is how I always sleep.
You're just like, huh. This is different. And then you roll over and oh no, it's starting already.
And then you get out of bed and there's a bunch of coupons everywhere and you're like, I don't remember collecting all of these.
Oh, but man, 99 cents off dish detergent is great.
At the dollar store.
That is a fantastic deal. I ain't gonna hold you. She's not gonna stay up, so she's gonna stay here.
That's okay. So anyway, guys, jumping back in, it's been 2 weeks since I've last seen you guys. What have you been up to? What have you been watching? What have you been into? Anything cool? Anything new?
You kid.
You already know that I binged all of Beastars Season 2.
I haven't started it yet.
Oh.
How was it?
It's good. I mean, I actually prefer Season 1, I think. I think it just had a better flow to it. I don't know, the writing felt a little better, the flow felt a little better, but still Beastars, still great. And it sounds like, and this might be a little bit of news, but it sounds like there is going to be a Season 3, because after Season 2, I was like, wait, was that it? That can't be the end.
I think it has a solid amount of volumes. I think it has 17 or 18 volumes. So that's enough for 3 to 4 seasons.
Yeah, when we went to, I was in Portland for a day. We went to go visit a friend in Portland because it's a 2.5 hour drive from where we were. And they have this huge bookstore there. It's 5 stories and a warehouse-sized building just full of books. And in their manga section, I think they had all of Beastars, and I was seriously considering just collecting them all. Just being This will be the one manga I own, and many people will have questions about that.
I'm actually like this slightly off track thing, but we're looking at finally. My parents, I think, have finally picked the house they want down here. And if I move with them, there's going to be so many bedrooms that I can turn one into an office. And if I do that, I will, for the first time in my life, get to display my little manga collection. I'm very excited about that.
That is nice.
I'll be able to, like, for the first time ever, display all of my nerd crap, because I have so much, and it's just in my closet that is just off screen.
But bringing it back to Beastars, just get ready for some heavy gay vibes. This season goes hard on the male relationships of the show in such a way that makes you like, it's like, man, this was definitely meant to like have girls ship every character. There's no way.
We needed more yaoi. We had enough of everything else last season.
I mean, like, Rui and Legoshi are cool, and then they introduce like a new character who's like even
no spoilers.
more
No
intense.
We don't trust Aaron here on this channel because he'll spoil things. We don't trust
a new
him.
Character. That's not even a spoiler.
There's new characters now. I know that now.
How would you not know that?
Every little thing you say is a spoiler.
Every little thing. I guess I just enjoy media in a different way. By the way, I'm so sorry to bring this up, but I had to because, like, I don't want any of you guys to fall into the same trap, right? I literally, just 30 minutes ago, came back from a movie called Pig. Now I'm going to let you know about the synopsis of Pig.
This has nothing to do with anime or manga.
This is a very anime story, though. So I want you to picture the type of movie that I'm about to explain, and let me know what that image is. It's Nicolas Cage in the main role.
Yeah, with the pig.
Yes,
So goofy.
and some people steal his prized pig, and he goes to track them down and get it back. Now, I kind of want you to, like, what is in your mind? What does this movie look like?
I imagine
Does
it's
it look
John
like
Wick with a pig. Yeah.
It looks like a very silly Taken.
That'll do. I'm in
now, that was what I thought. Because all we did was read the synopsis, and we went, because we were like, this is going to be, like, grade A level Nicolas Cage nonsense, right? And now we're sad. It is a heartfelt movie. It is nothing like John Wick. Though the beginning seems to imply it might be. I just don't want you to fall for it. Don't fall for this trick. But Taylor, what have you been watching? What anime have you been watching?
So the new season's already started, so I started watching a bunch of things.
We're gonna get to all the summer stuff, we swear. It's just that Sharif is physically chained to a desk at work. They don't let him go home anymore. We're actually planning a jailbreak by next week. Don't tell them.
Yeah.
Or
It's
else
gonna
it'll
be
go
an
right.
absolute failure.
Yeah. But to avoid talking about those things, because I can talk about those things. There's like two that I'm watching that I'm really into. But because of Twitter blowing up about the trailer of Chainsaw Man, I decided to read Chainsaw Man.
Hell yeah.
And I'm on chapter 63.
Nice.
It's a weird and wild ride, ain't it?
No.
It's so weird, man. Things just keep happening.
It's a weird feeling that I have because I like it, but I don't love it. I don't love it at all. I don't. It's the first time in my entire life that I walk into like anything and I don't like a single character.
Really? I love Power.
See, Power is the closest to the one that I can say I like Power. But if Power died in like chapter 64, I'd be like, damn, where do we go from here? Okay. Like, I wouldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? It's weird. I don't care about the story. The story's not, it's pretty bare bone, basic shonen.
I think, like...
The fights are kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't have any particular super attachment to it. Maybe I'll get there later on when I finally finish it. It's only got 97 chapters.
Hey, it's a shorter run. I think what makes it like unique is it does have a generally darker tone. It does lean more seinen, I think, than shonen, which is, and it's got that like horror vibe as far as the art style goes and everything. You know, very like grindhouse. Like he literally fights with chainsaws, which is a little odd for Shonen Jump. That's not really their MO. And then I think the actual character, the main character, the fact that he is somebody without grand aspirations, he's a unique protagonist, and it's more about people and what people are like willing to go through just
He
to
said, "I
find
just
what
want a
makes them
grill.
happy.
See,
I
that's
just want a
the.
grill."
Rose said, I don't want to die without grabbing a titty." And then he grabbed the, then he grabbed
Yep.
the titty, and he's like,
Hey, whoa!
This is me.
Spoilers! I didn't think he was gonna grab a titty. Come
he
on,
grabs
guys.
a titty. In fact, he grabs 2 titties.
Oh, I gotta, guys.
Full set.
You both might know about this
Set
anime.
bonus.
You guys might know about this anime. It's a bit older, but Nina introduced me to like the first episode of this anime because she was very excited to show me. It's called Ghost Stories.
I don't know anything
Okay.
about ghost stories, but apparently
Yeah.
Taylor does.
It's the
Now-
greatest thing ever. The
Now,
greatest
here's
dub ever made.
Yes. Okay. So here's what makes it unique. Apparently the dub people didn't really have like an exact translation to work with, so they were just
Oh.
making shit up.
Oh yeah, they were like, yo, this Japan was like, yo, this ain't really selling here. Do whatever you want, just keep it close to the story, I guess. And they was
And-
like, bet.
Yeah, and the dub artists just go buck wild on, or who the script writers, I guess, just went buck wild on interpreting how they wanted to. Like, my favorite part is this weird girl who, in the dub, they make, like, a super Christian girl.
Right? Yeah.
They, like, get away from a ghost, and she's like, praise Jesus.
This is true.
It's so weird. And honestly, like, it would
Did
probably
you get
be
to the
boring-
bunny part yet?
No, we only watched the first episode.
Wait,
I'm excited
the
to watch
bunny
more.
part is the funniest thing I've ever
Where
seen in
do
my
I
entire
find
life.
this ghost stories thing?
You can find it anywhere. Just make sure you're watching the dub.
Yeah, you gotta watch the dub. I don't know what the sub is. Maybe
The
that
sub
one's
is
fresh.
just the
Like
sub
the-
is very, very mediocre.
Yeah, it would be a very boring show, honestly. Like it'd be fine. And honestly, what's funny is like it's supposed to be a horror like anime. Like it is supposed to be like for a kids horror anime. But that is not what they did with the dub. They were just like, this is a zany comedy now.
All right then.
It's good. Yeah, it's
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Taylor approved.
I'm nothing like you guys. So I guess for me with anime, I've been slacking a bit. I got really into a YouTube channel called Shadiversity, which is just about like weapons. like
like him making weapons or
no,
using
he
weapons?
talks.
Describing weapons.
He's like a medieval like weapons enthusiast and like LARPing guy, and he talks about like how, he does a lot. I got into his series of talking about what weapons would work if we applied real world like weapons logic to fantasy. So like, what would you actually want to fight a dragon? Like, what weapon
Definitely
would
not a katana.
what would the like
A
best
rocket launcher.
using medieval weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, like they're really really fun videos. I got really into those. So as far as anime, I've been slacking a little bit. I finished the Rosario Vampire manga for the first time ever. It a more bittersweet ending than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
I caught up on all my like normal manga and stuff. Got so many that I'm reading now. And I started the Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway movie, and I remembered that I don't like Gundam. I just like Gundam designs. And I do this basically every time I watch a Gundam, where I'm like, oh, these aren't about robots fighting. These are about war dramas that happen to have robots that fight. That's... Damn, how do you get me every time?
That is true.
This is going to bum me out.
That is true. I can't even hold you.
No, and then like Gundam like Barbados, like the Iron Blooded Orphans is like really good. It hits a lot of good feels. Like OG Gundam still holds up. It has like newer interpretations. They just put the movie versions. Like it's great stuff. It is just they are dramas, and I'm my like little kid brain kicks in when I start watching Gundam, and I'm like, I want to see the action figures hit each other. And it's not right because it's not fair to Gundam because they do have some great stories in there, but it brings me back to being like 8 and watching G Gundam and be like, yeah, Burning Finger. But that's just me. So I'm gonna finish Hathaway. I do want to finish.
Back with that.
Dude, G Gundam is my favorite series. It is not at all the best Gundam franchise, but it might be the most fun.
But I have his speech memorized.
Do you really? That's amazing.
This hand of mine is burning red and is screaming for me to
Yeah, his last Gundam, like they fight God Gundam. They get like
it's just a giant parasite-looking Gundam.
Yeah, it's a Gundam parasite growing out of a Gundam face.
It's weird.
There's some crazy shit in that show. I love it. Dude, bring back Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I need it. Those games were way more fun than they had any right to be. But anyway, we actually have a ton of news. I did my best to like parse it down to some of the things that I thought were a little more interesting and intriguing because, you know, we've been gone for 2 weeks. So I'll do my best. A lot of video game news because E3 was like kind of a thing this year, but it not really. It's more like everything's going to be parsed out all summer. Basically, no Japanese company went to E3 at all in any capacity. And because of that, we're just getting tons of weird anime and anime like related video game news all summer. So we've got a lot of that.
You know what we need?
What's that?
We need an anime version of E3.
Well, the thing is, that would be like Tokyo Game Show, but Tokyo Game Show is in September, October. It's
I never knew this existed, sir.
Yeah, it's Tokyo's version of E3. I don't know if they're doing it this year yet. If they are,
And
it's
they
an
walk
online
out on
only
stage
thing.
and they're just like, "We heard you. We have another season." Bro, like, you want dragons who are also big titty waifus. We present you Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid.
Except it's this really like
That'd be so hard.
like sad looking man who kind of comes out and he's like, we're sorry for the pause on the shows you've been watching. I know what you've been excited to see. We are going to have dragons in the next it's like that. That's how like Japanese press conferences are. They are not
so sad.
not sad, just like delivered with the utmost lack of I don't know what you would call it, charisma. It's more just like, hello, hi, I am the designer of this game. I'm excited to show you a trailer.
My favorite thing is when you watch like Nintendo Directs and stuff, and the guy doing the voiced over dub for the translation, like the translator, sounds exactly like Aaron just did.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm basing off of, but also like when you see them standing there, you get the impression that that's how they're saying it.
Oh, yeah,
like
it's
they
great.
don't seem like too hype about anything.
Yeah, it's like when Al Numa came out to apologize that like there is no actual Breath of the Wild 2 here right now. Please don't be mad at me because I'm here to talk about a different Zelda project.
And everybody got mad because he decided that he was going to pop up on screen and then be like, I know you guys are waiting for Zelda news. The truth is, we have none. Wait, you didn't have to show up.
Exactly.
Imagine if they did that at like the anime E3. It's like, we know you guys have been asking for years about No Game No Life Season 2. It's not happening this year. Maybe next year.
Not happening. They just come every year to let you know it's not happening. It's not happening.
Well,
Meanwhile, here's Season 2 of this show.
Well, I haven't watched it yet. Apparently, Konosuba has its next season officially in the works now.
Yeah, season 3 just got a. That's 2 fingers. Season 3 just got announced, baby.
I'm just gonna go top down through my list of things that I have here. Number 1 is Beastars season 2 is out. We already talked about that. I was really excited. I just wanted everybody to know because season 1 was unexpectedly dope, and I'm excited to watch 2. Next thing on our list is there is a new manga. I just found this amusing by Hiroyuki Takei, who is the guy who made Shaman King, and Shaman King's got big hype right now. But it's called Mini 4 King, and it is about like the mini RC race cars, and it's just a manga about like people that race those. And I don't know. I want to read it because I'm a child. That sounds hysterical. So that just made me giggle.
I can't wait to see how over the top and dramatic they make this.
Dude, I want to see the anime where like you have them like the two guys, because it looks like they're like adult, like they're like older teens, right? It doesn't look like a kiddie anime based on the image. And so it's gonna be like two clamp looking motherfuckers being like, "Let's go!" And I'm so excited. The one guy is gonna have secret nitrous in his RC car.
They're gonna start drifting them. It's like,
yes. There's gonna be a one guy who does gadgets, like fucking the Mach 5. Like he's just got like gadgets. He's got a mini RC car in his RC car that when you like damage it, it drops the little one out and goes faster.
There's gonna be one that's just constantly talking about family.
Yep. It's the American dude. The American dude's gonna always be like, but family and friendship.
Family.
I made you guys ribs.
He may be fast, but he ain't got family.
There it is.
It's you know what's stronger than battery life? Family.
Family.
Oh man, that's gonna be like
for that to die. I can't.
Is never. I want to keep it alive forever.
They have oversaturated the market. I'm so sick of seeing them.
Speaking of things that will never die, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is still getting DLC. I love Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I think they're super fun games. They're terrible fighting games. Fantastic Dragon Ball Z action RPGs. And it's just a really fun game, but they keep doing DLC for it, so we're never getting a third one. They just announced new DLC coming out with full power Jiren, because that's who we wanted a character of, is more of that big pink thumb man.
I love Jiren.
And I'm gonna move on. What Jiren makes me sad, because I think he's like an okay design, like he's oddly plain and like streamlined, which I think is neat because he's the opposite of the Saiyans. But then they gave him no personality.
He's just straight up the generic alien, though.
Yeah,
he's just the generic alien design: big head, big eyes, no nose, and a little mouth.
Yeah.
But he's a gangster, though. I love him. I love how Goku's like, "Yo, I need time. Buy me time so I can hit him with the spirit bomb." Majira's like, "I'll wait."
First villain ever who's like, take your time.
Take your time.
Take your time.
Bro says, "I'll wait." Then he stands there, and then Goku throws it, and he stares at it and pushes it back. You know how nice it is to see Goku get his ass kicked?
Read the
as
super
a
manga.
Goku fan, it's so nice to see him get his ass kicked, because he's always like, "Hey, I heard that your attitude is really strong. Let me fight it." And it's like, I'm sick of watching this dude fight, and he's always winning. He pulled out a whole new like transformation and Ultra Instinct, and still couldn't hang with Jiren. I like Jiren. It took him and Frieza combining to beat him, and they didn't even beat him. They just technically.
They didn't win the fight. They just knocked him out of the ring. They got an.
They just pushed him out of the ring. It took everything they had to push him out of the ring. I fucking love Jiren.
So moving on,
man.
To something that I'm a little uncertain of. I'm a big Monster Hunter fan. Anybody who knows me knows. I love I've been playing Monster Hunter since college, and I've been saying for a long while that Monster Hunter would make a dope anime, and instead what we're getting is a weird CGI OVA coming to Netflix next month called, what is it, Monster Hunter Legends? The animation doesn't look the best.
By CGI OVA, do you mean like Beastars animation style, like 3D? Or like 3D
no,
anime?
Beastars is a very gorgeous animation style. I would never compare it to
It's
that.
technically the same as the other animes they try, but it works better for Beastars because they're animals.
And because they actually, put in some work to make it look like it has actual lighting and consistent character designs.
And the animation
and
actually is cool looking. They actually
not-
move and emote.
Yeah, if they don't look like PS2 graphics. And it's not that this looks like terrible. This looks about as nice as like cutscenes in the game. I just would have preferred, I think, to see a full 2D anime out of this. But it sounds interesting enough. It is about a boy who, if anybody plays the games, ultimately becomes the hunter in Monster Hunter 4 that you play as. And, yep. So that'll be neat. Definitely better than that god-awful movie. Here.
Did you guys ever... Okay, so, like, I didn't know this existed, but did you guys know there was a Pacific Rim anime?
Yeah.
I never watched. I never knew about that.
It's alright.
I heard about it. I refused to watch it.
Yeah, I was bored one night and I watched it.
I haven't watched the second Pacific Rim, and I'm sure that it's quite different from the first, but I don't know. I should probably still watch it. I like John Boyega, so even just watching him as a character seems fine.
Yeah, like, it's definitely a movie that just couldn't decide what they wanted to do with. The Dynasty Warriors movie. Watch it, guys. Watch it. Everybody go watch the Dynasty Warriors movie. I want you to feel my joyous pain.
Continuing.
So, couple more things on the list. Next up is Persona is like the most anime as fuck JRPG of all time. If you don't believe me, go look at anything they do ever. They give JoJo a run for their money with them bojas.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, the entire intro to Persona 5 is done by the lead animator and creator from Yuri on Ice, I think, or Free. One of the two. So super pretty.
Or Yuri on Ice.
We have a Persona 25th anniversary celebration. Basically, over the next 6 months, we're gonna get, I think it's 7 different Persona projects being announced. I believe the rumor going around. Well, the first one is definitely going to be announced in September. And then the rumor is that 2 are going to be remakes or remasters, and the other 5 are all going to be fresh games. So here's to hoping for Persona 6. I'm excited.
As long as they give another Kawakami, I'm fine.
There it is. Next up is Gundam Overwatch. So, I don't know. Gundam has been for years doing little free-to-play games on console. We got one last year with Gundam Battle Operations 2, which is mediocre as fuck. But they have a new game coming out called Gundam Evolution. I believe that's what its name is. I'm going to double check. I'm going to actually click these news stories so I can have them up like a smart boy. Yep, Gundam Evolution teaser trailer dropped this week, and if you look at it, the entire HUD and everything is literally Overwatch. Which is somebody who likes Overwatch, I guess that's cool. But it is a PvE PvP game, from what I can tell, where you are doing different capture the point missions, playing as classic Gundam heroes like Barbatos, OG Gundam, Suzabi, stuff like that. It's gonna be free to play, so they will find 1,000,001 ways to drain your wallet, most likely. Gundam is the king of that. Secretly the king. Has been since day one with them Gunpla. Entire empire is based on Gunpla.
Don't you?
I want to play. I want to play as Burning Gundam, and then try and fight all these guys with guns by just grabbing their face. He should only have one move. He should have one move where I grab your face and your head explodes.
He has a sword though.
Yeah, but he uses it twice. It's really about grabbing their faces and making them explode.
About throwing hands.
He fights legitimately with martial arts, the head cannons a lot actually, and the swords and everything. But he always wins by grabbing your face and making your face explode. That's his finisher. Even if he's cut you in two, he's gonna stand you back up, put you together, and then make your head explode. Almost vicious.
It's great. It's so funny. It's so funny to watch.
Speaking of some more robot things, this is something I'm kind of excited about because I've always wanted to play these games. I don't know if Taylor or maybe Aaron, I doubt Aaron, but maybe because you grew up in Japan, played any of these. This Super Robot Wars games. So, Super Robot Wars games have been coming out since like the Super Nintendo, and they are these big ass tribute games for different mecha properties, and they're tactical like battle games. They're strategy RPGs, but they have a ton of people. And for the first time since like the last major DS iteration, which was like 15 years ago, we're actually getting one stateside. We're getting Super Robot Wars Gundam 30. And it's got a ton of really cool crossovers. It's got like mobile suits or mecha. Mecha is probably better. It's got mecha from like Code Geass, Mobile Suit Gundam Z, Gridman, Knights and Magic, Mazen Kaiser, and a whole bunch of other ones. So that's gonna be really cool. I'm excited. If I get it, I'm probably gonna stream it, so you guys can check us out playing that game when it comes out. Coming out in October. And yeah, I definitely want to try that one because this is 100% something I have been looking forward to for a while. I was actually talking to my brother about it a few weeks ago, being like, I want to play one of these games, and like they never release. And he was like, well, maybe I could send you one because he's in Korea, and then I didn't have to because they're coming out here. And our final piece of news that I have is that tomorrow, July 19th, is One Piece's 24th birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, One Piece.
One Piece is 24 years old.
Yeah. One Piece is old.
It's wild.
I did find out this week that One Piece is not the longest running show of all time.
No.
From Japan. Not
What's
even.
what's the longest running one?
Is it Case Closed still?
I don't remember what it's called. No, it's not Case Closed. But Case Closed does have more episodes. So does Yu-Gi-Oh! And so does Pokemon. Like, if you combine all the Yu-Gi-Ohs together...
Yeah, if you combine
like all the Yu-Gi-Oh! Together, they have...
I'm gonna be straight with you. I didn't know there was more Yu-Gi-Oh! Than the Yu-Gi-Oh! I watched as a kid. Like, why... was there a big market for it after that?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's like in the top 3 card games in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon.
Yeah, I would have said Magic for sure. But I don't know what I would have thought the others would be. But I did not expect Yu-Gi-Oh! To maintain its dominance.
Yeah, man, Yu-Gi-Oh's still going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you.
Like the longest running show has actually been going on since the early 60s.
That's wild.
And it has over 7,700 episodes.
What? What is this show?
Yes. I don't remember what it's called, but all I remember is that it is literally a show about a family's daily life.
That screams Japanese.
It's been going on since the 60s.
Hold up. No, it can't be what I'm thinking. It's not.
It might be. I don't know the answer. I don't know.
Kid. It's not about the kid with the big head, right?
You're thinking Crayon Shin-chan?
Yeah, booty.
No, it's not. It's not Crayon Shin-chan.
I was gonna say that would be amazing.
Shin-chan was like the 80s, I think.
Yeah, because that's the thing is there are several series that have been going on since the 80s. I mean, Berserk was still ongoing. Ippo is still going. Ippo's at like 1,300 chapters, and it's been going on since like '89. But there's a lot of shows that have been going on way long.
Some of them are like continue, like the Yu-Gi-Oh ones, like if you combine them all together. But like One Piece is like, this is just like the same show going on. Like,
I mean, Pokemon is over 20 years old and Ash is still 10.
This is true.
Oh boy.
And they have more episodes than One Piece.
And Brock still hasn't found a girl.
I mean,
almost.
He did, but we'll never know. Because Professor Ivy, he don't like talking about Professor Ivy. Mm-hmm. She did something to that boy.
Yeah, he
just don't want to talk about it.
Even Brock could have kept up.
He finally got his wish, and He regretted it.
But what do you call it? Him, and the rock chick from Alola. They had some moments anyway.
Anyway.
You talking about the gym leader?
Yeah.
Didn't she have like black hair and like red eyes?
Yeah, the thick
she
one.
Wore, like purple. Oh yeah, she had a thing for his eyes. All her Pokemon had the same eyes and had the same eyes as Brock. She was into him.
Oh my god.
But anyway, guys, that's enough about Brock's love life. That's all the news I got. Lots of video game stuff, like I said. Lots of mecha coming out this way. So I'm excited because I want some anime video game goodness. I need it. Give it to me.
Will you be satisfied?
I'm hoping at least one of these is fun. Like, if my money goes on any of them being like kind of my jam, it'll be most likely one of the Persona announcements, or maybe Super Robot Wars 30, but that's yet to be seen. So I guess unless anybody else has some news or cool things they want to bring to the table, we can move into our topic of the show. Aaron, based on this wallpaper and this banner, I don't understand. What are we talking about?
We are talking about the one, the only, Studio Ghibli, the studio that breaks all misconceptions about anime, breaks right through them, and is palatable to every audience in the world.
Also, despite the hatred of it held by Hayao Miyazaki, made one of the best video games.
What? Okay, hold on. What video game is this? I don't know about this.
I'm very surprised. So, it's a very fantastic JRPG. You can get it on like all the consoles now. It's on Switch. It goes on sale a lot on Switch. Is Ni no Kuni and the Wrath of the White Witch. The character designs and all the animated cutscenes were done by Studio Ghibli, and they helped, I believe, with the story. And the game itself was made by Level 5, who does a lot of cool stuff. Like, they made the Dark Cloud games, and they make Yokai Watch and stuff like that.
Okay.
Inazuma 11.
So it's kind of like not at all like it in mechanics, but in like concept, it's kind of like what's that dungeon game that was done by Don Bluth?
You're trying to say Dragon's Lair?
Dragon's Lair, yeah. You know, like animated, like beautiful animated cutscenes with integrated with gameplay. Not to that level, just you know what I mean. Like
no, it's a JRPG. With creature collection.
Not mechanically. I said concept.
But also like they had, I believe, more. I could be wrong. I've never done extensive reading on the subject, but I believe they had more input on like the whole character design and stuff like that. And then like the actual story and the narrative is a very Ghibli feeling movie. It is about a little boy named Oliver whose mother passes away, and he finds out that if he goes to this other magic world and saves her soulmate, because everybody in the other world, every person has like a other half in this other magic world, like there's another you, and he finds out that the reason his mom died is because the one over there is in trouble, and if he goes and saves her, he might be able to save his mom. So it's very, very cute, very sweet game. And he becomes a wizard.
A wizard. Yeah. So that was a tantrum, and didn't tell anybody anything about Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli is an animation studio that has made some of the most popular animated films from Japan of all time, mostly from the mind of one Hayao Miyazaki.
Are you trying to say Ponponya, the one with the Tanukis bouncing on their balls, is not the number one they've ever made?
I don't know, maybe. I haven't looked up the stats.
It's real. That's a movie. I've seen it.
So, I think anybody that can see the title and is even vaguely familiar and clicked on this episode specifically because it said the Ghibli episode, already kind of knows what we're talking about and what films they immediately come to mind. Because I think everybody, regardless of background, has had experience with at least one Ghibli film. It is so not pervasive. What's the word? Its fingerprints are everywhere in media. like American media has been influenced by Ghibli films to such an extent that there's every animated show I've seen has at least one reference to it at some point. Even like Bob's Burger has a whole Totoro scene where instead of Totoro, it's a giant turkey, like a turkey carcass that he's cooking, which is one of my favorite scenes of all time. um, so, guys, before we talk any more about Ghibli films and like what makes them interesting and special, what is your first experience with a Ghibli film? What was the first one you watched or can remember watching?
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away from Taylor.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Not a bad entry. Not a bad first one to start off on.
It's not. I think I'm just sitting down and watching TV, and it's like, hey, we're playing Spirited Away today, and I was like, okay. Then I watched, and I was like, this is fire. I like this. This is cool. I like it.
What about you, Bear?
I'm gonna have the weird one. Mine is Kiki's Delivery Service.
That's not the weird one. That was gonna be mine.
And that was hype. That was hype too.
I was literally obsessed with Kiki's Delivery Service when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, because it used to come on Disney, and they used to do it a lot in the same week as the Pippi Longstocking movie, which I also like that movie, and they have a similar, like, young adventurous girl kind of vibe.
Yeah,
fucking Longstocking.
Yeah, so like those would
my
both come on in the
God.
same week a lot, and I remember I
forgot
remember
about that.
being in like the
If you know who Pippi Longstockings is, let us know in the chat. I'm actually curious to see how many of y'all know who Pippi Longstockings is.
Where my Pippi fans at?
She was lit.
it's funny because I don't remember much about her. Like I know what she looks like with the candy cane
Of course.
leggings and the red hair. It's the Wendy's girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, Scott, you remember that from Wendy's. You just ordered it the other day.
I'll get them spicy nugs. Anyway. No, like I remember being like a little kid, like probably like second or third grade, in like our first like apartment that I really remember clearly, and asking like my family if I could stay up late to watch the Disney Channel like movie for the night, and it was Kiki's Delivery Service, and I watched it all alone in the living room. Everybody else went to bed.
Because it's the best thing you've ever seen. Yeah, Kiki's was my jam. At least that's the first Ghibli film I remember watching. And I only remember it because I was so obsessed with it. Like, Gigi was my fucking... Like, that was it. Like, Gigi is all I did from that film. The rest was amazing, but, like, all I cared about was Gigi.
Gigi's
Gigi
the
was
cat,
so great.
right?
Yeah, Gigi's the cat.
Okay. It's been a
I don't know what
long
it is.
time.
I don't know what it is about like the secondary characters in a lot of Ghibli films, but like I'm always in love with them. Like Gigi, Calcifer,
Calcifer's the
like,
homie.
even like the things that aren't really secondary characters at all, they're more like background characters, like the Soot Sprites. I always love the Soot Sprites. Like who doesn't love the Soot Sprites, man? Dancing around with their little rock candy, all happy and shit. Putting away her shoes. And then throwing a worker strike because he won't help Chihiro. Yeah, so that was my first experience as well. And it's still a comfort film to me. Like I could still watch that film at any point, and there's something so uniquely comforting about it because there's not even really much story going on. There's no like. It's definitely, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but like Ghibli films don't really have like they're not set to rigid rules most of the time. Like they're not like, here's their perfect 1, 2, 3 act structure. It's more like, we're gonna go with the flow.
You need a script to have structure, Aaron.
Yes, we'll talk about that and how that works because it
You
is
need
to
a
me,
story
fascinating
in place to have
that's the thing, like-
structure.
Like you can say that a film like Spirited Away has a pretty strong Western structure, right? Like you can make the argument that it follows a pretty simple one, like 3-act structure, but like Kiki's, nah. Like there's 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 not a lot of like payoff. There is some setup and payoff, but it's not what Hollywood standards would suggest it has to be. It's, I don't know. It's just very, it's character driven. All the actions are character driven, and usually that's because it's just following what Hayao Miyazaki is coming up with that day. Because, as probably all three of you know, these movies are just made like as the movie goes on, he's just making it up as he goes. He draws something that day and he's like, here you go, and he hands it off to the animators and they get to work. That's how Ghibli movies are made. He comes in, he just starts drawing and handing them stuff. He's like, okay, now this is gonna happen. Nobody knows what's going on until it's fully complete.
Yep.
Which has got to be the weirdest process for making anything. And like, imagine the trust you would have to put into a creator, like if you're his staff, that you're gonna get fed and you're gonna get a like paid job just on the whims of this man, this very strange man who's just handing you drawings. He's
this
like, yeah,
crazy, angry, chain-smoking old man.
Yes. I love the I don't know where they started coming from, but I love the comparisons between Hayao Miyazaki and Junji Ito. And if you don't know who Junji Ito is, he's the one who draws all the horror mangas. But personally, he's a very happy-go-lucky man. And then there's Ghibli, which his films are happy-go-lucky, and then the man is just a nihilistic old dude. It's not even that. It's not even that he's depressed. He's just very. He's just this strange old man who just kind of set in his ways.
He's retired 6 times.
Yeah. He's so. His interviews are always so great. He's just saying shit out of nowhere. He'll be like, "I fucking hate cats." Like, what?
That man don't like
you
cats.
have cats in like all your films. You
Like,
don't love cats?
He's like, yeah, I write them to die, but they tell me I can't do
that. Yeah. Now there are things that like all Hayao Miyazaki or a majority of Hayao Miyazaki films share, and that probably stems from his history and like being somebody who grew up during World War II, because he has a very distinct distaste of war, which you can feel throughout a ton of his stories. He has a connection with nature, a distaste for war, and I don't know. What other themes? I don't like.
There are like 3 major things that give away that it's a Miyazaki movie, right? It's a general like dislike of war, though there is often like a wartime like the war is a part of it in some way. Like there is a negative force. It is the finding some like kinship with nature, or like people being at odds with nature, and normally, with the exception of one movie that I can think of, it's normally a female lead. There's only 2 of his movies that don't have a female lead, and one of them is a biopic.
Right.
So, those are like his things. That's just how his brain works.
Yep. And cats.
Cats! Except for The Cat Returns. It's not him.
Which are great films. Like, so anyways, I guess, so we've gone through your first Ghibli film. Now, what is the Ghibli film you feel most connected to?
Ooh, that's so hard.
Like a personal connection, or like that's my favorite one?
It can be a little of both, honestly. Like, if it's your favorite, you might just have some personal connection to it by virtue of the fact that it's your favorite and you can watch it over and over again. I'll go with mine, because mine is Taylor's very first film. It's Spirited Away. Because I think Spirited Away, for me, I don't know, it blew my mind that a film could be that interesting and good and beautiful. Like, I don't think I'd ever seen animation quite as beautiful as Spirited Away when it first released. And everything was alive. The characters were all interesting and unique. The world was this just like beautiful, surreal space where the rules weren't explained to you. It just kind of it felt magical. It felt like you were the main character being thrown into this strange world and you don't know how it operates. Like I still will watch it and just be like, why does this food maker cry? What is this piece of food that she was given by the river spirit, this medicine? What does it do? I guess it doesn't matter. It just purges you. It's an odd film, but it's so unique and beautiful in its presentation that it's hard not to love.
I'm so torn.
Well, give us the ones you're torn between.
So I think the instinct is always to say Spirited Away, right? Just because it's the one that like I watched the most as a kid. Because I found Spirited Away basically as soon as it came out because I had a very special cable box that always had pay-per-view on. So I watched it constantly. Like I think there was a day where I watched it like 3 times in one day as a kid. But I when I really think about it, like there's 2 that kind of I bounce back and forth. Is one is for the longest time my favorite was Princess Mononoke because it's the most different out of all his films. It's the most actiony, but it's also like the darkest one. It was one that I always really liked. But I think if I like push came to shove and I had to pick one that like mixes with me the most and like I relate to, it's Howl's Moving Castle.
I love Howl's.
Howl being the perpetual sad boy that he is makes sense for me. I appreciate that. I enjoy Calcifer being constantly quippy.
I love Calcifer, man.
I think that's
Voiced
kind of my jam.
beautifully by Billy Crystal in the dub.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And it's got a romance story and everything, which is always a big thing for me because I'm a sap. So yeah, I think Howl's Moving Castle is going to be my final answer. Words are hard.
Final answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna lock that one in.
Wrong. It was Ponyo.
No one is gonna mention Ponyo in this show. I watched Ponyo is the only one of his films that I could not get through.
I watched it all. It is certainly a lot more. I don't know how to describe it. It's more kid friendly, I suppose, and that's weird to say about a man who makes like mostly kid films.
Yeah.
It just feels very childlike.
Yeah, I mean,
which
like
is a staple of his work.
Yeah.
But also Liam Neeson voicing the dad. Is so
Matt
great.
Damon. This is Matt Damon.
Wait, it was Matt Damon who voices the dad? I thought it was
No,
Liam Neeson.
the king I think is Liam Neeson.
Oh, okay.
Matt Damon is the dad. Pretty sure.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Which, okay, so that's always like another indication that his films are like so influential is like some of the biggest Hollywood names are attached to all
Shia LaBeouf.
Fucking Howl is voiced by Christian Bale.
During the time he was Batman.
Yes. He probably found Howl's Moving Castle much more fulfilling.
Are you insulting Batman?
I'm insulting the terrible voice he had to do throughout that entire series.
Be nice to Batman.
Where is she?
He chose that voice.
I'm sorry. When you mentioned Matt Damon, it reminded me of this dude I used to work with who used to make fun of Matt Damon all the time. Cause he's like, Matt Damon plays the same role. He gets his ass stuck out somewhere. We gotta go find him. He's like, I'm Matt Damon. I'm going to Mars.
I'm Matt Damon.
Oh,
I'm
shit,
in
I'm
World War II.
stuck.
I'm in France.
Oh.
Just the way he was like, I'm Matt Damon. I'm just stuck out here. Come get me. He's like, we have spent millions upon millions of dollars
Saving
trying
Matt
to get
Damon.
him back home. Eventually, they're just gonna leave his ass out there and say, "Find a way back."
I
Oh,
mean, is
God.
that
I'm
technically
sorry.
what
That
they
had
do in
nothing to with it.
Interstellar?
I mean, they got sick of it. It's like, just find a way back.
No, this dude is crazy. Leave his ass
We've
out
run out
here.
of the money for this.
We can't keep making wormholes to get you, Matt Damon.
So do you have one that you like think connects with you the most there, Taylor?
I can't say that like any of them have like changed my life. I'd say, or like I connect with on a spiritual level.
I mean, The Cat Returns. You've got all the swagger. You got this.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never seen The Cat Returns or Porco Rosso, but I'm gonna keep referencing it.
So, I watched Porco Rosso for the first time this year, actually, and I loved it. Porco Rosso is great. It's great. Like, I just love Porco Rosso as a character. He's a interesting and unique character in that world. It's just kind of like a very odd premise is that this man was cursed to be a pig forever, and there's no, it does not dwell on that. It's just like, this is just a fact of his life. He's a pig now, but he's also a pilot. Like, the story revolves around him being a pilot and not him being a pig. He just is a pig the whole movie, and it still has the best line in a Ghibli film, which is better a pig than a fascist, which oh yeah, yes. Best line in all the Ghibli films. That and I don't know, me and my fiance reference Spirited Away all the time with the part where No Face eats the medicine. So like if I take Nina through an excruciating workout, she'll wake up the next day and be like, Zen, what did you do to me, Zen? So many good parts in that film.
So I have two things that I would like to know. One is, when is it that you guys realize that the vast majority of these movies, all the ones that are like super successful, were made by the same dude?
You know what? I don't know. It had to be much later on while I was like when I was actually focusing on film as like a subject.
Today I learned.
Today I learned.
I thought all of them were made by like just the same group of people. I didn't know that. I know that they had different like creators and directors and stuff.
There are a couple different directors. There are three major ones. I'm a big ass nerd and I know a bunch of stuff about Ghibli. There are three major directors, kind of a fourth, but he's not very good. I forget their names, but basically, one has done things like Pompoko and a few other projects for the studio. I think that they didn't do Grave of the Fireflies. What's the other one that's like?
Oh, that one's dark.
They have a like sad series one.
Sad
I think what it is one of their films had a double feature with like Grave of the Fireflies, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Totoro.
The producers watched and like their faces were just like, we gotta fucking balance this, bro.
Yep.
And he's like, can I just make another movie? And it's like, well, okay, pitch me what the movie's gonna be. Like, all right, picture a big, fluffy forest spirit. He's adorable. He's got a gigantic smile.
And a cat
He's
bus.
big and
A bus that's a cat.
and a cat bus. Okay, I was fucking horrified of the cat bus. She scared the shit out of me. It's like, that's terrifying.
It as a kid, that does hit different.
I was like, don't get in the cat bus.
It's got some like Alice in Wonderland vibes. It's a little spoopy.
He's the Cheshire Cat, basically.
Yeah.
He's
like, don't get in the Cheshire Cat.
Oh
God.
Yeah. So like for me, it was actually in like high school because Toonami did this like Studio Ghibli Miyazaki month, and like I was a big nerd, and I had like Comcast, and Comcast when you hit info, you can see who the director is and the actors and stuff. And I was like, oh man, these are all the same dude who made all of them. That's so cool.
Right.
It's this Miyazaki guy.
This Miyazaki guy.
This Miyazaki fella, he's gonna go places. He's gonna go
going
far.
You're like a producer from the 50s, but it's like 2020, and you're like, this Miyazaki guy, he's got talent. Get him on the phone. He's going places. Sir, he's directed like the largest movies in the past 20 years.
So that's just like one thing. I was just curious to see like if because I know for me like it was high school, but I had been watching these movies. This is way before then, and I think it was late. It was like end of sophomore year, but like middle of junior, somewhere in there. So I was in like the 16, 17-year-old range. My other question is, do you guys have like a least favorite Ghibli movie out of all the ones you've seen, or like one you don't like?
Oh.
Because I have one.
I don't think there's one well, I don't know. There's some I haven't seen yet. Like,
there's several I haven't seen, but there's one that I got big mad at, and I was probably more angry at it than I should have been.
Was it Ponyo?
No, Ponyo I think just didn't hit for me because it's definitely more a younger movie.
Yeah. I bet if I'd seen it, the latest one they did, the 3D animated one, would probably be my least
Earwig
favorite.
and the Witches.
Yeah, just because like it does not seem like they're quite up to the task.
I've heard mediocrity.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is because it's like it's brand new to Miyazaki. He's like, ooh, because like he disdained it at first, and then he was like, he got to play around with it for a short film. Mm-hmm. And he was like, actually, this could be interesting. Like, I could try this. So, him being grumpy, it's the best old man story where he, like, it's like he discovered, like, texting. He discovered sexting, like, 50 years too late. He's like, oh, this newfangled trend. This is fun. But he's, like, horrible at it. So I assume that one probably isn't the best, and again, I haven't really heard any great things about it, but that again is probably just due to the fact that it's all very brand new to them. But I don't know, like, I don't think I've ever like disliked a Ghibli film, and I'm really trying to go through the catalog because there's a lot.
There are a lot, like we've said a bunch, but like we have not mentioned Nausicaa, which was his first, like the first big film he made. Like there's My Neighbor, the Neighbors the Yamadas, which I've seen bits and pieces of.
Nausicaa was also the first, one of the first animated films to be done by committee, which we talked about in our episode about animation techniques. And that set the trend for anime moving forward. So it was kind of a big deal. Nausicaa was like a huge fucking deal at the time. Not only was it doing gangbusters at the box office, but like it basically set the trend for animation moving forward.
And then it came to the States and was terrible. And that's why you're not allowed to touch Miyazaki's movies. Man once sent somebody a samurai sword and just said no cuts.
Yeah, she was so, and I get that. Like, I'd be mad too. Well, Bear, what is yours then? Like, you mentioned that there's one you dislike.
So, I don't remember the movie as well as I would like to discuss it here, but back in like 2014, they released a movie called When Marnie Was There.
I just watched that,
and it looked really cute and really sweet, and I got it, and I was super disappointed, and I had no fun with it at all.
Definitely not a fun movie. I will say that.
It wasn't fun, and I didn't think. I think if I recall, like I felt like the actual story and message missed, and I was just really disappointed in it.
I can see that. There's also, I think one of the things that makes it harder than the others to watch is because the main character, as a whole, is a very alienating character. Like, she doesn't like anybody or anything except for this one girl. Like, she's very distant from almost everybody, and that doesn't really change that much throughout the film. Which, is fine. Like it's again, like his films are not restricted to our conceptions about like media. Like not every one of his characters
Miyazaki.
has an arc
So,
or anything like that.
like to explain that generally, one of the best things to like think about when you are somebody who tells stories or makes content or does any kind of like medium, right, is that it is normally best for you to only break the rules when you understand them. And Miyazaki is somebody who understands how to break the rules. The problem is that something like When Marnie Was There was not made by him. It was, I believe, directed by his son, who is somebody
Okay.
who like doesn't really want to be a director in and of like of himself. Like it is
Oh, you
often
feel that.
thrust upon him.
I there is no film I feel that more than that movie, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
Honestly, that kind of makes it better for me because like I really feel his presence then.
It's like that and Tales from Earthsea, which Earthsea has some fun moments, but it's definitely one of the weaker Ghibli films. And it's because he doesn't want to be a director. Maybe he does now. Maybe he's come around, but in the documentaries, he definitely doesn't seem like he wants anything to do with this. But it's like with anything. Like when you are a creator, if you want to break the rules and do weird stuff, like the way Miyazaki literally doesn't write a script for his films, he does an animatic for the whole thing. He draws the loose film, and then they just animate it, and he comes up with the dialogue as they need it. Which is not how you write a script. Don't go try it. You're not Miyazaki. But he is somebody who came from, like, he made the Lupin films and Lupin episodes. He made an entire, like, series before that where he did everything probably the actual way and learned. And, like, I'm sure, like, we can both probably, if we have thought for a minute, come up with a bunch of other content creators and, like, filmmakers and directors and musicians who did fit, like, broke the rules, but it's because you know it, right? And that's a thing that I think
You know what?
is really important to learn.
A good way to describe Miyazaki is that he's not as much of a filmmaker as he is an artist.
Yeah.
He's pulling inspiration and making things up as he goes, and it turns out beautifully because he understands the processes that underlie it. It's like somebody who goes from making, like, learns their whole lives how to make portraits and then goes on to make, like, art for themselves, and the techniques are all there. Everything that you would need to make a great work of art is there. He's just not doing portraits anymore.
Yeah, it's not that, like, Picasso couldn't paint a traditional oil painting, it's that he did it.
And the reason it's so beautiful is because it was him. And Miyazaki is very much in that vein. He is the true definition of an artist. Just somebody who is experimenting with their craft and taking it in different directions.
And it's
as
really,
sees fit.
really sad.
He is an interesting person. But again, like, no matter like how far he comes in his careers, there are a lot of just basic themes that underpin every single one of his works.
I empathize so much. So there's a couple of, like, different little documentaries and mini docs, but one of the biggest ones is In the Kingdom of Madness and Dreams. It's like a whole, like, hour and a half, 2 hour long documentary about the entirety of the company, and I feel so much empathy and genuine kinship with the producer for the studio, who is just in this constant state of trying his best.
He's in constant state of panic on how, like, well he's going to be able to sell things.
He's like, I have to get everyone paid, and we have a company.
He's like, he goes to Miyazaki, and Miyazaki's like, I don't know, I'm just vibing, I might make something. He's like, okay, I gotta be able to sell this.
We're gonna go make another Totoro plushie. Please finish the movie.
Yeah, he's like, whatever, I don't give a shit. Smoking his cigarette, just like, fucking do it, I don't care. Sell your goddamn toys. And it's funny because, like, while Miyazaki's just, like, smoking, chilling, making his work, there's always, like, a committee of people who are just, like, talking about toy lines. They're like, can we slap this on a puzzle? Yeah, we'll do a puzzle. Maybe we'll roll out the new plushies, like you mentioned before.
Because they just have to find anything because they're such expensive films to make. Because they, like, up until Earwig, they did almost completely hand drawn.
Which, yes, beautiful.
Which is beautiful, but it takes forever. Like, any film at Studio Ghibli would take between, like, 4 and 7 years.
Yeah, baby.
To finish. And so, yeah, it was just a lot.
Sometimes I like try and grasp that concept because like even a film, like most films are done within like the longest one might take is like 3 years, and that's if there's a bunch of like production halts and stuff like that. But like to be continuously working on the same project for like 6 or 7 years like is a concept I try and grasp sometimes, and it's really hard.
Like, just imagine, like, that is like if basically when me and you graduated college to like last year we made one movie.
Hell yeah.
Like, that's what that is.
So good. But you notice that anytime that's the case, it's usually a work of art. It's like something somebody really cared about. Like, Nina is playing Stardew Valley right now. I don't know if you guys know anything about Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley is a beautiful and brilliant game, but apparently it was made by one guy over the course of 6 years.
Don't touch it. Don't play it. It's bad for you.
It'll suck you in.
It's bad for you.
He'll suck you right in.
It's like them drugs. It's like the cocaine.
It's like them cocaines that I hear so much about on the streets and what.
The cigarettes. It's bad for you. You'll do them forever, and then you die of cancer.
Hell of a drug.
But yeah, I think what I also really enjoy about Miyazaki's style is that because it doesn't cater to a specific Western style of film production, it also allows a lot of room to breathe and does things that other animated films don't do, and to their detriment, I feel, don't do. Like, there's the conception amongst like classical Hollywood and most Western media, like even while we were going through school, there wouldn't be a teacher who would go against this basic rule, like trim all your fat. Like if you don't need it, just get it the fuck out of there, right? Like that's how we were taught. So like that was ingrained in my brain. Even like editing class, I remember I trimmed something down, and this dude comes up and he just my professor just came up and chopped the shit out of it, like literally like milliseconds at a time, just chopping up pieces of this and then put it back together. He's like, okay, that's how it's supposed to be done. That's how you got to do it. And like Miyazaki does not do that. And I think it makes his films more special because what it does with that breathing room is makes the worlds feel more alive in a way that, I don't know, other media just doesn't quite do for me. Like a really simple and basic example that I'm sure we all know about. In Spirited Away, there's like a moment where she's putting on her shoes, right? And she like taps them on the ground like to like adjust them so they fit on her feet a little better. Like no other filmmaker would think to keep that, or at least most wouldn't. And it makes it feel more lifelike and breathable, and there's just moments of pure like aesthetic where it's like, here, just look at this landscape for a few minutes because it's beautiful and you should take it in because it's part of the reason the film exists. Like, learn the world.
So I guess like I have two things to say on this. Like, one is Miyazaki is working in animation, right? So the thing with the animation is almost nothing is ever cut. Why? Because you're drawing it. Yes. So everything is purposely made. The other thing is, this is kind of breaking out of the full anime like podcast here, and more talking about just being a creator again. And that's it. Too often, people make the mistake of thinking trimming the fat means removing detail. It doesn't. Fat is when things sit too long or are completely unnecessary. Like, they don't add to the narrative, to the art, to anything. When it has no additive property of any kind, that's when it's fat, right? Like,
yeah, it doesn't service anything.
Yeah, it's when me and Taylor you're cutting between the two of us talking, and one of us is like talking a bunch, and then we just sit on Taylor for an extra 10 seconds after either of us has stopped talking, and he's no longer emoting, like, for the scene. You know, like, that would be the thing. Like, that would be fat that needs to be trimmed, which you see very often in, like less well edited films, or like, and then there's over trimming. Just fucking stop with the quick cuts. I watched Black Widow, and there were like 4 scenes ruined due to quick cuts. It was sad.
I did hear that Black Widow was good though.
I liked it. I think it's a fun movie. It's fine. It's in the middle of the pack with all the other like single character Marvel movies that aren't Iron Man. It's just right in the middle. There were some of the fight scenes, man. They do them quick cuts. They had a little bit of Taken syndrome in the Taskmaster fight. Don't do it.
Well, but I mean, like, and I do mean that though, that like Miyazaki often includes things like he's drawing it, and it's like it is purposeful that he drew it, but it doesn't necessarily always service the story or even the world building sometimes. It's just there. And he talks about it a bit where he's like, sometimes you just need time to breathe. Like, it's kind of like a pacing thing. Like, you can say it doesn't service the story, but sometimes you need to just breathe. And that makes it feel better. Like, okay, I'm done with that. Let's continue, you know? It's a brief moment of time that just lets you sit. And
how do we get Miyazaki to animate Fast and the Furious? Because he's real good at telling stories about family.
Tell him it's about family.
Taylor, I watched 7.5 hours of Fast and the Furious the other day.
Why?
Because it was my birthday, and there's very few things that me and my dad like to do together, and one of them is watch movies, and I was like, I haven't seen most of them, so we just started watching.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Can we talk about just for a brief moment the its presence in the marketplace of cuteness? It's completely blown the competition out of the water. Anything cute is from a Ghibli movie. They're all the most adorable things.
I don't like the movie My Neighbor Totoro. I don't connect with it because I saw it when I was too old.
But
I love Totoro so much. He brings me such joy.
Him and his little other 4 spirits. His other ones are always my favorites. The 2 like smaller ones. He's the little white one, and then like the little.
Yep.
I think it's like a gray one. I don't remember the other one. He's just like a tiny one.
I 100% saw My Neighbor Totoro at like the worst point in my history to watch that film, because I saw it as a jaded 20-year-old film major.
You were like, what is happening? This doesn't
like,
service the story.
Because like I just couldn't connect to the characters. Like, it didn't hit home in any aspect of my life. Like, now I think it might like make me super sad and crumble a little bit, because it's about 2 little girls trying to do their best with a sick mom, and I'm like, that's my life.
Yeah,
that's every day.
You watch that little girl like on Totoro's belly mimicking him, and then Totoro mimicking her, and you're like, this is the greatest thing to ever happen in film history.
Oh man. Taylor, I feel like you've been quiet for a while. You got any questions for us, or any like random things? I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
I'm still trying to figure out what my least favorite Ghibli movie is, because I don't dislike any of them.
That's the thing.
These questions, I wasn't prepared for this at all.
Nah, so
Nobody was.
Guys, I'm gonna be real honest with you. This show is super well produced in that like we made this audible call like an hour and a half to 2 hours before we went live.
And one of us didn't even pay attention.
Now I would like this normally I would like do like a whole thing about what Ghibli actually is, like its history, and maybe more about Hayao Miyazaki like personally, but you know, this is more just about the vibes and talking about the films we like, because I think most of you guys listening to this episode probably already know a lot about Ghibli.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're a Ghibli fan, you probably know a little bit about Ghibli, or at least in some sense understand the films without us having to overanalyze them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because unlike a lot of other anime properties, unlike the vast majority of anime, Ghibli is transcendent. It breaks, like I mentioned at the beginning, it just breaks every barrier. It doesn't matter if you're or not. You probably like a Ghibli film.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the amount of people, because it is almost. I mean, he's called like that's sometimes equated to like Disney in the popularity. It's like him and Tezuka. So it's definitely a very universal franchise, and I think that the motivations of the majority of the Ghibli movies are pretty universal, especially the Miyazaki ones. Pom Poko, not so much. I mean, it's about Tanukis having war. But watch Pom Poko,
nature,
guys.
you're scary.
Watch Pom Poko, guys. It's weird. It's a weird movie. I've never recovered from it.
I've been recovered.
They have like samurai battles, and their balls inflate because apparently that's a Tanuki thing, and they bounce on them.
It's great.
It's
So good.
Japan lore is weird, man. It's a strange country,
Yeah,
but
that's how war works in Japan. You know, I was there. I've seen it up close.
So I will say I actually because we did this later, I actually have a thing I have to get to within the next like 30 or so minutes, and I have to get food and coffee and things. So we're gonna have to wrap it up a little early. Does anybody have closing thoughts?
My favorite is Princess Mononoke.
Hey,
I never answered that question.
coming in with the hot one.
Princess Mononoke is fantastic. It's the first one I owned on DVD. I actually like purposely went and I tracked that shit down. I was like, because I watched it for the first time on that Toonami marathon I was talking about, and it was the one I fell in love with.
It's for some reason it's just so much cooler than the
Yeah.
rest of them. I don't know.
It is
I
100.
just really like the fact that she's a badass who rides a wolf.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's 100% why I have a thing
It's
for
so
girls
cool.
that could probably kick the crap out of me. Like that's a thing.
Bro, like I watched Mononoke a little later in my Ghibli watching experience, and I don't think I was ready for it. Like, there's the part close to the beginning where his hand is like possessed, and he pulls the bow and shoots, and it tears the dude's arms off. I was like,
yeah.
oh shit!
It's the I think it's the only one that's PG-13.
It was damn that shit was torn
Dude,
arms off.
The good guy is horrifying. The fucking deer, like the forest spirit, is horrifying with the old man face on the deer.
Yeah,
Nightmares.
and like
Beautiful nightmares, but nightmares.
maybe we can close off with this like thought about Ghibli films that I've always really appreciated. There's never really a lot of clear villains in Ghibli films. And Princess Mononoke is a good example because like it's a film that makes you think there should be like a very specific villain, but like everybody you meet is uniquely gray. Like the woman who runs the like island.
Yeah, like
factory.
Irontown is trying to defend their town, but they're also destroying the mountain to make their
Yeah,
town.
But like she's a boss lady, and all the citizens respect her because she's given them purpose and like life when nobody else would take them. And even the old dude who like steals the head and is like purely in it for greedy reasons. As a character, he's pretty great because like you want to like him. Like the first time you meet him, he's this super adorable old man. He's just like this kooky old dude. And you're like, this guy's cool. I like this guy. And then you're like, oh no, don't steal the spirit head. What's wrong with you?
Oh, man.
But yeah. Closing thoughts though. How do you close out on Miyazaki? The man will never stop.
No, he will actually finally retire the day he dies.
And then
that's
he'll come
that'll
back
yeah.
from the
It's
grave to make one more.
just one more. What I'm not done yet.
They're
One
gonna
more.
they're gonna go to his house. And they're gonna find a bunch of like scripts that he wrote, and like, fuck, man, we got.
Yeah, his whole house
They're
is
gonna
just an animatic.
They're gonna do what they did with Prince, where they found like a record full of like thousands of songs he recorded that were never released, and they're just gonna start releasing them.
One a year.
It's like, yeah.
Forever. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this week's episode of the Super Otaku Show. You can find us wherever podcasts are out on the internet. You can also find us on YouTube at Roman Bear Streams and on Twitch every Sunday. at the same place, twitch.tv/RomanBearStreams. You can find me this week. I'm going to be... I got a really cool birthday gift. I'm going to be on a charity RPG on Paradise RPG. I'm going to be playing with one of the McElroy brothers, which is really freaking cool. I'm super excited about that. I'll be playing D&D over there. You can find Taylor over on YouTube and Twitter at TaylorMadeOtaku, doing a whole bunch of cool anime content there. You can find Aaron on our main Roman Bear Pro channel over on YouTube, doing video essays and stuffs like that. And the Shooting Star Sheriff should be back next week. We probably will have successfully jailbroken him, so long as you guys keep your mouth shut and don't tell them we're coming for him.
We're coming.
Don't let them know.
Stitches.
There it is. Talk shit, get shot. Until next week, though, guys, been a hell of a lot of fun. Keep watching anime, and be ready for a long-ass episode next week, because next week should be our spring review and summer anime drafts, because we're already about a quarter into the summer season. So until then, guys, so long.
Bye.